Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry Unfiltered with myself and Stu. Stu, I'm very excited about our guest today because this is someone that a lot of people know, but not just from in front of the camera, but behind the scenes as well. It's someone that you represent, you looked after. It is, of course, a man that you described actually as the busiest man on YouTube, didn't you?
He is the busiest man on YouTube, 100%.
The original videographer of the Sidemen, one of the brains behind the operation, and now a man with over 1.3 million subs himself. It is, of course, Con. Con, great to have you on.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, guys.
Did I get that right? Was there anything I missed out?
I loved it. I want to clip that up and I want to listen to it before I go to bed so I wake up with good vibes in the morning.
Every night or just a one-off?
Every night.
Love it.
I'm quite disappointed that you didn't bring a camera here to vlog coming on our podcast, even though it's its first season and everything. Surely it's
the best camera
enough.
Is the camera that's on you. So there's still an opportunity to get on the Con channel.
We've got loads to talk about, Con. What I loved about this as well is when we sat down, he was critiquing the cameras or giving his insight into the lights. You gain a real understanding.
You guys are doing very well.
Is it all right? Out of 10, would you give it?
10 out of 10.
Love that.
I would say to get rid of the shine on our heads, get some powder on us.
I've had that. But do you know, I did a shoot for Sky once, and genuinely, I was with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez, and the cameraman, the one thing he wanted to do before we start was to shine. He grabbed a cloth and just wiped my forehead, because my forehead apparently does get quite shiny under lights.
It could be the type of moisturizer you're using, how you're feeling on the day, if you're a bit too hot. Just some anti-shine powder.
There we go.
Simple stuff. It's nothing too extreme makeup. Because I can see your face. You're like, I ain't touching that.
I'm a geezer. It's like I can't wear makeup.
Do you know what's great
it's not
about
makeup.
that, though?
It's just like anti-matte. Sorry, it's a matte powder.
Yeah, I know what you mean actually. But what I love about that is the only thing wrong with our studio is our forehead. So that's not a bad start, is it?
Yeah, and I've got a rather large one. But I did. I did a filming with the Sidemen. I can't say what it is because I don't think it's been announced yet. But anyway, I did a filming with the Sidemen, and it was a full kind of makeup. You probably did the same thing, and it was just weird. There was two women and fluffing and stuff, and I'm not used to that. I'm an agent.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, and it was just sat in a makeup chair with them doing all that. It was just a bit.
We have divulged a bit, but I think it's a good start. There's so much to talk to you about, Con. I want to obvious first question really, because you are involved in so many aspects of the industry. When did you first start working in the industry, and what were you doing exactly at that time?
I had a camera phone when I was growing up, and I just loved filming everything I do. I used to have a music TV channel running in the background, playing all the music videos non-stop. So naturally, I gravitated to wanting to film music videos.
Right.
And I just started that with my phone and just filming myself, like miming to gorillas.
Yeah.
It's very cringe.
I was about to say, you weren't actually performing yourself. You were lip syncing.
I'd like sit on a chair like this and I'd spin around and I'd lip sync the thing and I'd edit it on the phone as well. So that's the earliest how it started. And then I asked for a camera for Christmas and stuff like that. And then started watching movies like Jumper. I was like, oh, that's a cool effect where he teleports from one place to another. I want to try that and I want to find out how to do that. And went out, got a tripod, did stuff like that myself. So it stemmed from early days. This is secondary school. I was probably 15, 16.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, it just sort of developed and went up a level.
And when you say go up a level, what was the first sort of big thing you did? Was it, am I right in thinking, music you were doing before you started working with the Sidemen?
The first big thing in my mind was when I got a paid job. And that was through, I used to go to after school community clubs, you know, the ones that keep kids out of trouble.
Yeah.
So I went to one in Lewisham, and I don't know if they still exist, but there were a group of boys that were making music there. And then they got facilities for the whole community centre. They had like computers, cameras. So they paid me like 70 quid to make a music video for them.
Wicked.
And I spent like a whole week on it after school, going there every day. Bear in mind, my school was in Ilford.
Yeah.
So I'd travel all the way to Lewisham with one of my mates, and we just work on that. That was one of my first big projects. And then that's when I knew I could do this forever.
From
this
that moment
so
on, you
fun.
thought, I can do this as a career.
I didn't know it was a career option.
Right.
That's the weird thing. There was nobody telling me, hey, you could do this. You could do that.
How long ago was that?
That I was in year 9, 10. This was before like
YouTube was really kicking off, and
yeah. In fact, my earliest YouTube involvement was, PSPs, PlayStation consoles.
Yeah.
I used to mod them. I used to follow all the forums, and if you want to post a tutorial on a forum where all the conversations happen, to be involved in any conversations regarding that community, you'd have to post on a forum. And I wanted to make YouTube video tutorials. I wanted to make video tutorials.
Yeah.
But the only way you could do that was by uploading it onto YouTube and then hyperlinking it onto a blog.
Right.
So I was making like tutorial videos, like how to put LEDs in your PSP. Yeah. And then back at school, I'd know how to fix people's screens. So I'd be like, give me 20 quid, give me your PSP, I'll fix it for you next week. And I'd make money from that.
Little side earner,
Yeah. Or like, do you want me to mod it so it's all clear and you can see like your disc and speakers and all the wires for it? Done stuff like that.
So from that moment, that music video, that first, I can tell you're very proud of that because that was the first paid gig you had.
Yeah.
For then going into working in major and directing major music videos.
Still a couple years away from that.
Still a couple of years away from that. So what happened after that then?
I had to get all the nonsense out of the way. So all the school education stuff. I just had to go through it.
Stay in school though, kids, if you are watching this.
Just do it to make your parents happy, all right? And plus you learn a couple of good things on the way. It's a good way to socialise and meet other people anyway. Mm-hmm. Never knock education out if you have the opportunity to do it. So, and I had the opportunity to go through uni and stuff like that. On my summer holidays, there was other couple of people that maybe saw my video and said, we're filming a documentary for this artist. And I'd go follow them about for 6 weeks. And then I'd just make more connections through that one person. I'd discover another 5 people. And it was just like a tree that just sprouted different roots. So I felt like I had so many options and opportunities. I just said yes to everything.
Did you?
Because I was in a great position to do that. I was living at home. I was still in school / college these days. So it was everything was like really flexible for me. I didn't have any things I really needed to be worried about in the adult world that I am now.
Yeah. Or things that you couldn't do because you had a bit of time on your hands.
I was living with my mum. Like I was young. I was like 17, 19. I wasn't getting kicked out of home or anything like that, luckily, because a lot of my other friends, it was tougher for them. They had to think on their feet. Some people, some of my close friends were kicked out of homes and they were like, right, you've got to find a job for yourself.
Yeah,
so
tough.
Yeah, it's tough. So I feel like I had it easier than everybody else. But again, I also want to bring up the fact that I'm a first generation in this country. So my mum put a big emphasis on education and she wanted me to fully have everything open for me. So she was supporting me all the way from the beginning. And without my mum, wouldn't be nowhere even near in this country.
I like
that. She brought me over here when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
And she said, right, you've got to make it. You've got to do something. Yeah.
Wow,
and that's always been instilled in my brain. Like,
and even back then,
whatever happens from now on, it can't get worse than where I've come from.
Wow.
That's my mentality to things.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And I think lots of people that are successful, it is a case of is not being people that haven't been born with a silver spoon, that have had harder times, have experienced harder times, but have also grown up, developed, etc. But always don't forget the harder times. I think you've got to kind of, if you stay humble, it's a good starting point.
Yeah, I don't have like a tragic story of anything bad happening. It was just a bit tougher than usual. Like, where she's moved in England in her 30s. Yeah, I'm 6 years old. None of us really know English that well. It's like, what the hell is happening? How do we're sort of discovering things as we go. Yeah. So like I said, anything from this point is a win.
It's amazing the way you look at it, because you seem very grounded from that, and you also seem very appreciative of all the opportunities you've had. But I would also say you've massively earned all the opportunities that you've had. I mean, we've been speaking about you as part of the research, like we do with every guest, and hearing your backstory and everything you've been involved in, to music videos to YouTube, is quite incredible, really. So I suppose the next question is, from that small music video that you said you got paid a fee for, but you sound like you got paid quite low comparative to the amount of work you put into it for a whole week.
I don't care, it was great.
But that you got a good deal out of that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then your next... When did that next music video come where you started working with... Could you just give us some of the artists that you've worked with in music videos and the scale of production that you've done since then? Because it is quite incredible.
What happened was I didn't get music videos after that straight away, because in reality, that music video that I made was actually terrible. Like, it was my first ever one.
By your standards now, though, I'd probably look at it and go, that's decent.
It's all right, but terrible, right? Because your first ever
yeah.
project isn't ever going to be like your best thing.
Yeah.
No.
And I've got a lot of those type of projects. They just don't come to light, luckily. I got wedding gigs. I got different videography jobs that I knew this isn't what I want to do. You know, you got to try a bit of everything before you know.
Videographer for a wedding day is a long gig as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's a long day.
You got to wear a suit. I don't like wearing a suit. You get all hot and sweaty whilst holding the heavy camera.
Everything. I remember my wedding day, and I said I had 2 videographers because I was like, I want you to capture absolutely everything. There's no downtime, is there?
Yeah, there's no downtime.
No,
I shot that on tape.
Did you?
So then you got to like rewatch and like transcode all that footage.
I know
and
what you mean.
it's just something I wasn't into. I was more captivated by the glamorous side, the glamorous side of music videos. But then you slowly discover everything isn't what it seems. But I eventually ended up working with a production company that made music videos, and I started all the way at the bottom. So that entailed, it wasn't like, you know, make cups of tea and stuff like that. You hear that a lot in the industry.
That's how I started.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's where you were the T-boy, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
I didn't mind that, but I never got asked that. Maybe because I make a rubbish cup of tea.
That's always the best way of doing it. So when I joined the army on my first day I'm going on a tangent here, but it's a cup of tea. The platoon sergeant, my first day in battalion, he's like, make me a cup of tea, because the new person or the youngest person in the platoon always has to be a tea boy. So I'm sitting there going, do I make a good cup of tea or a bad cup of tea? I was like, I'll make a bad cup of tea. He's gonna wallop me one. But I won't have to make another one again, or a good cup of tea. So I went with a bad cup of tea, got a kidney punch, and never made another one again.
Right.
So that's how I got out of being a tea boy.
So, but I felt like I presented a new option for the people that were giving me these opportunities. I had a camera on me by that point, just because I was so into it, and I was offering behind the scenes services. And everywhere I went, I would just document it. But I'd try and make it look like the official video that was being shot.
Right.
So my standards for behind the scenes back then were very high.
Yeah.
So I'd often find myself on clothing photo shoots for like ladies' fashion brands. There'd be a photographer taking pictures of all the dresses and whatnot, and I'd do a behind the scenes that make it look like an official video shoot.
Wow.
And I think because of that, after I used those pieces to get work for official videos.
So do you think that's what got you the director and videographer roles for official videos, because the standard of the vlogs was so high?
Yeah, it was like I'd make behind the scenes videos that made people want to then hire me to make that.
Clever.
And then, but back then you never used to have video. It was always pictures, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thought of paying someone a full day rate for a 20-30 second video was outrageous. They'd make me edit long videos.
Yeah.
But I always knew, for some reason in the back of my mind, no, you need short, snappy videos to promote your business, and I'll give you a couple different options of those.
Yeah.
And then that's what I was doing. And when I was working for this production company on the side, they got me to ghostwrite video treatments for other directors.
Wow. What age were you at this point, roughly?
I was about 18, 19.
Wow. That's a big gig.
So not only would I do that, I would then turn up to set and try and learn from every single crew member. And they'd give me like a position I didn't really want, because it was such a loud and out there position. It's called first AD. Assistant director. You have no creative freedom. You just have to make sure that you run the shoot on time and everything's on schedule. And by the end of the day, people hate you, because you're always that guy that is coming up and saying, we haven't got time, excuse me, can you hurry up, you do that. And you're trying to please the director, and you're trying to bug them, and they're trying to ignore you because they don't want to hear that they've got, you know, one last shot left. That felt like a demoralizing part of like what I wanted to get involved in. But I just studied what the position that I wanted to. So I wanted to become a director. So I just studied from other directors of how did they get into that position, what steps did they take, and that's kind of the steps you do have to take. What that position helped me was to gain enough confidence to be able to speak to people and command certain authority on set to say like, oh, we're running out of time, could you please hurry up?
Losing the light or whatever, we need to do this take.
So that got me out of my shell. I like to think myself I'm quite reserved, and
No, he is. Yeah, you are.
I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
I like it. I enjoy it. I love listening to the room instead.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you prefer being behind the camera or in front of the camera?
It depends what I'm doing. I think if I'm speaking about a passionate project of mine, I'd love to speak about it non-stop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, because I've always thought that. Obviously, I've been an agent for 9 years, and I've always tried to stay the other side of the camera. And I've been caught awkwardly in vlogs and stuff like that in the background before. And yeah, I definitely think I'm better behind the camera. But I'm trying. Yeah, no. Hopefully, after this, a few episodes of this, I'll be a professional. But
my business brain thinks like, oh, being in front of camera presents a whole new bunch of opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten. Just
if I know what I'm talking about, I'm fine in front of the camera. I think that's it. Is being passionate and stuff like that. Like we've talked about some guests maybe, and I'm like, well, maybe you could do that podcast on your own because I'll kind of be sat there a bit awkwardly going, oh, I don't really know what to add, what value I can add to it, the conversation here.
You know how I just said I hated doing that job?
Yeah.
Because it made me feel uncomfortable. Right. That's why I hated it. But then at the end of the day, or when you see the final result, you appreciate it and you appreciate the logistical troubles you had to go through to do this project.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So being in front of camera, it's a whole new uncomfortable level that I'm trying to tackle.
And do you find that you learn, because obviously I, as a presenter where I work, every shoot I've been on, every director, every producer is so different. I always think that I've always learned something from every director or every producer I've worked with, because you can always pick something up. Even people that do the same role, because it's such a creative industry, I've always taken one bit. It could be something
little, like
so
how does
small.
Somebody handle this particular part of the job? Like, do they flip out, or do they say, no, it's all good, and they find another?
When they communicate to you, how they communicate, it could be as little or as important as that. But have you found that you've learned something from everyone you've worked with?
100%.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Even from the artists, like when an artist comes in and they're friendly to the crew, sort of sets a whole different mood for the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
spot on.
Little things like that.
So in terms of the Sidemen, then let's talk about that. When did you first meet the Sidemen? How did it all come about? Because you are widely regarded. I would say one of the many things you're known for is one of the brains behind what it looks like, the videography and all that. So what was your first meeting with them?
It was me getting into university. That was the big deal. And before university, I was doing all these odd jobs that I've just been speaking about. At the same time, I was also working at retail. I was working in a phone shop. I was working at 3 mobile phone store 3.
Yeah.
It was great, you know. Again, very uncomfortable position. Sales, you got to come up to randomers and speak to them and try sell them phones and convince them that this contract's amazing. Yeah. Some of them were, some of them weren't. But you got a great commission. And that helped me get the funds in order to be able to afford a university for myself. So one of my biggest flexes is that I worked my ass off doing videography, this part-time job, and I paid my university fee off in one go. So I'm sitting at uni and they asked me, how do you want to pay? Credit, like, you know.
I'm done. I'm
like, full for the whole year.
Amazing.
This was like when it was $3,500. So it wasn't like the $9,000.
Do you accept mobile phones?
Contactless payment didn't exist back then.
Pay as you go.
And then at the same time, I'm hearing someone else say the same thing. So I turn over and it's Josh.
Wow.
Zerka.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, fair enough. Everybody must be having a part-time job and paying things up. Then I met Josh again. He was in my same class.
Okay.
We were studying the same course. So somehow the fates have brought us together. Yeah. We both like music, grime music, UK grime music. Back then I was heavily involved in channels like SBTV, Grime Daily, GRM Daily. I was going to all the grime raves like Eskimo Dance. So I was behind the scenes filming.
Yeah, and SBTV had some huge names, didn't they?
Yeah. My first project with SBTV was like a collaboration with 5 different artists. It was like a Labyrinth produced track with some top like MCs. And again, I got to just do that off my own back and have a project up on this massive channel. Yeah. And I got to put my name on the credits.
Yeah, amazing.
So that, like, the things started going up from that point. And then I remember I did a music video with Getz.
Yeah.
He's an all-time favorite artist of mine as well. And I'm editing that music video in my uni. So there's other people that are walking by and they're like clocking, oh my God, like, how you do music videos? So I just became the music video dude.
Right.
And then made friends with Josh. And Josh was playing online stuff, Call of Duty. I wasn't really into games back then, so I don't really understand that world. But he had like 30,000 followers on Twitter. So back then I was like, whoa, what do you do? I never really paid attention to it. But yeah, we got through uni somehow, stayed good friends.
Yeah.
We go off onto different paths. I don't really hear from him throughout like 2013-ish. So he's working on the Sidemen stuff. He's forming that Sidemen group. Yeah. And I'm working on music videos. I'm working with a lot of different artists. I worked with Skepta by then. A whole bunch.
Yeah.
So the reason I named Skepta because that was one of my all-time favorite projects.
Right.
I won that music video by creating a fan-made video for one of the songs. And then the production company who I've been working for, coincidentally, got the brief from the label. And they said, do you have any ideas? I said, yes, I've got plenty of ideas. Sent them my documents because by then I knew how to write documents and treatments because I was doing them for different other directors. Skepta loved it, brought us in a meeting. We locked it all off, done the video. Amazing. Great time. At this point, I'm still working at the phone shop. I remember trying to upload a music video that I finished editing that night and my shift at work started.
In the store?
In the store.
Wow.
And I'm trying to upload it using the 3G dongles. And luckily for me, 3's a great company, a great network.
Clever. Keeps everyone happy. Company
this podcast sponsored by IT. So.
and then I press upload, public. I go over to the iPads outside on the demo store.
Yeah.
I go to one of the employees. I go to one of my people I work with. Colleagues. I go, check this out. It's got my name on it. I'm like, click refresh, 30,000 views. And I'm standing there in the store. It's a Sunday. It's dead empty. No one's there. Because who goes shopping on a Sunday? Yeah. Unless you've got problems with your phone. I'm just in this empty store thinking, wow, it's like 20, 30,000 people have just seen this video that I've been working on for the past month. I need to leave this place.
Was that an epiphany moment for you? You thought...
I was like, it's time now.
I've got to leave now.
It's time now. Purely because finances were working out.
Yeah.
So I was getting more work from videography than I now was getting paid from this job. So I always wait for that moment before I make any big decisions like that. Mm-hmm. Because this was a job that got me into uni in the first place.
Yeah,
so I owe it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, fast forward in a couple of years, I'm still doing music videos. Start falling out of love with it a little bit. Too many politics. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't get that same buzz as I did when I was working a part-time job and I uploaded that video. I've stopped getting that buzz. At the same time, Josh messages me and asks me if I want to do something for a YouTube channel. I'm thinking, what kind of videos am I going to make by myself? I'm used to working with big crews and whatnot. This felt like a downgrade. I went along with it anyway.
And this is like 2014.
Yeah.
And how much did you know about YouTube, can I ask, at that time? Because obviously
Nothing.
It seemed like your skill set and your mindset was all in music.
It was all catered for professional video production.
Right, yeah.
I've taken the traditional route of being on set and doing things the traditional way, which by YouTube standards was considered boring.
Right, got you. Yeah.
So I had to flip it all. I had to downgrade the quality and let that go.
That's the thing, because 2014 YouTube's a lot different to what it is now in terms of production.
Very different.
Give us an insight into that.
It's a £100 camera in a bedroom a lot of the time, isn't it?
The fact that I knew how to balance a camera at a right angle was top level production for YouTube already.
Yeah.
It set you apart already, but there was a fine line between producing high quality content to then disconnecting with your audience. So if you're a YouTuber back then and you hire me and I'll make your stuff look too good, your audience ain't gonna like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean by that. In terms of the engagement of the audience and it being rough and it was like very vloggy then.
Yes, it was very personal.
Interaction and close to camera and stuff like that.
They want to feel like you just flick the camera on and you're talking to them.
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
Than if you make it too flashy and stuff, you kind of lose that engagement and that touch.
And it becomes looking like TV, which is not what
exactly.
It becomes looking scripted.
Boring.
It becomes scripted. Yeah.
Not like it is now.
No.
Now you can't get away with that. But that's just the standards we've slowly set ourselves. But yeah, I almost had to learn backwards and understand, why is it like that? What can I do to slowly improve it and to still bring the same amount of enjoyment to the audience by increasing the quality or making things slightly better.
It's interesting you mentioned Josh there. I'm going to ask you about Josh as well, because he's someone we're hoping to speak to as well.
Yeah,
and obviously someone that you work with all the Sidemen daily, and you work with Con as well. It's interesting that Josh recognised Con's talent, even though in your own words you just said YouTube wasn't your passion then, or your expertise, it was music. But Josh had recognised his talent, and he's a very important part of that for the Sidemen, isn't he? A lot of people that I speak to say Josh is just so on it with everything. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no. Josh, he's called the dad of the Sidemen, isn't he? But he was definitely, without Josh, I don't think the Sidemen would have happened.
He doesn't give up on people.
Yeah.
He doesn't give up. He gives people so many opportunities. He doesn't, I feel like I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like he'd rather develop somebody into being the best rather than just keep swapping someone out.
Yeah, okay.
You know? But that will heavily depend on the person if they want to be like that anyway.
And creatively or more from a kind of business development, he probably got the Sidemen vision and what he wanted. He probably knew that long before the rest of the Sidemen or anyone else did. And just building the whole brand and stuff. I think he's been pivotal in that. And also spotting talent, spotting people that can bring in and help him get to where he wants the Sidemen to be.
Yeah, like Con, So he speaks to you. You go and see him. Go on, tell us.
We're working on his personal channel, so he wants to up the type of content he does, and he wants to make it more regular. So we're working on his Zerka HD main channel. Yeah. I'm sort of learning the ropes, understanding YouTube. And I feel like there's this big time in YouTube came up, the diss tracks, seasons. Yeah. They blew up heavily.
Yeah.
And I was heavily involved in that as well. By that time, I was already making like videos with some of the Sidemen. So they went away for a bit. So there was a period where I wasn't working with Josh. But when they came back, because they were traveling around so much, they realized that they're such a good friend group that they don't need this TV production company to make videos for them. They can make it themselves. And that's where I come in. That's where they come up with the ideas, and they use someone like me to make it possible with the cameras, because the ideas that they had were quite ambitious. So I started bringing in not just one camera now. I'd have 2 angles, and then 3, and then we'd have microphones. Yeah. So it slowly grew based on how they're growing as well. So I would like to feel that I'm growing with them in that sort of range as well.
Yeah. No, even myself, I feel as though that I've grown with the Sidemen. Uploads grown with so many people have grown with the Sidemen, right? Yeah. And but that diss track, going back to the diss track season, that was. I think at that point, I felt like just before that, I felt they'd lost the love a little bit, and things were just kind of plateauing, and they were kind of, they were dropping back. I think, was that around when JJ was, had taken 6 months off as well?
Yeah.
And the diss tracks that you were involved in and stuff, that just kind of reignited everything and reignited the energy and stuff, because it was really flat just before that. And I thought, do you know what? I think they've had enough now. And in my mind, I was like, are they going to continue? I think they moved out of the Sidemen house.
That the Sidemen might not continue at that point?
Was it around the time they moved out of the Sidemen house as well, the diss tracks, and they all started moving into their own houses, and I was like, are they going to continue? And the diss tracks just kind of re-energized everything back up again.
Yeah, all of a sudden it was like 24 hours, no sleep, just pumping out content. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, tell us about that time. So, is it fair to say, obviously, you've been a big part of, and there's a lot of people part of their success. They're obviously an incredible group. Yeah. They produce amazing content. But were you a big part of the production and the look and feel of their videos? You alluded to it a little bit there, saying first it was 1 camera, then it was 2, then it was microphones.
Yeah.
Would you be heavily involved as the first person to really tell them or explain to them or be involved in that, how they can increase the production?
I'm learning on the job myself, so I'm telling them what I think we should do to improve the last video, because not every video is my best one. So I'm like, what can I do to improve it and not get the results I did last time? So I just go ahead and learn, improve next week, and so on and so on. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you could say that.
It must make you very proud, though, because you look at what they've achieved. I mean, you must look at yourself as being a special part of that.
Yeah.
Modest, isn't it?
It's hard. I don't know. It's hard because they're the funny on-screen ones, aren't they? So it's like they can just replace me with another talented cameraman, you know? Like,
what do you think to that though? Because I think he's doing himself a bit of a disservice there. Do you think?
No, yeah, you can't just, especially if you're in a creative position like Con is in so intertwined in the production of a Sidemen Sunday, you can't just go and bring somebody else in because
you get into a flow of things, and I feel like I got into the flow of their workflow pretty well, and I think that's where everything fused together quite nicely.
But it's also pre-production, post-production, all that stuff. You bring somebody else when you're on the same page as Josh and the Sidemen and stuff. You know what they want. You know, like you get it right first time. So you're doing yourself an injustice.
I think the key to any like partnership is someone reliable. Do they have a vision of being somewhere in the future, and then you just give that person a chance. And
they've got to be skilled in that role as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about the KSI's music video in 2017, was that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That you did?
So, luckily, for me, I had a music video background.
Yeah.
By the time when JJ wanted to do music.
Perfect.
So, I got on his case and I said, look at these music videos I've done. Bring me in, give me something. And we eventually started doing music videos here and there. Yeah. Started off from a diss track.
Yeah.
I think JJ was the first one that spent the most on his diss track.
Right.
The other boys were like, "Oh, we'll just go out, petrol station."
Was that the one in Rice Gum's house, a little boy?
No, that was him in America. So he was already like spending good budgets on music
production
videos.
Value of it.
Yeah, he's someone that appreciates it and sees it as a long-term investment, and I think it's sick because look where it's got him now. Yeah. He's like got an incredible music career. That one was in America. Yeah, but he did one on another guy. Some Minecraft Adam's Apple. Yeah. So I'd pitch him an idea.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, "Oh, it'll be fun to bring his baby mama in." I'm like, "Yeah, it'll be great if she fed you grapes."
I know her as well. Yeah. I know her. Yeah, that was a low blow. That was.
It was
flying her over in business class or whatever it was to be in the video, lying in bed with JJ.
I've got
the diss track.
I've got a clip on my phone where she leaves and the door shuts in the Sidemen house, and JJ just bursts out laughing with his hands like this, going, "I win!" And I'm like, I haven't even transferred the footage from the video camera yet.
Cool. So the music videos with KSI. What I'm getting at is, obviously, I imagine, given his profile, could have had absolutely anyone directing and shooting that.
Managed to catch him at the right time.
So that's unbelievable for you. You must take a lot of pride in the fact that you were the person that he trusted the most.
Yes.
To do that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I love, because I told you earlier, my passion for music videos disappeared. But being like one-to-one with someone and they're giving you these crazy ideas without a middleman, like a label who's paying for the music videos being involved, shutting all the ideas down, that takes all the fun away. Working with JJ was incredible. He had all these wild ideas and we could make them happen together, and that was incredible.
Go on, give me some of the wild ideas that he'd chuck at you.
I'd need to... Okay, so it was the diss track season.
Yeah.
He's got a diss track on Logan. He's trying to be controversial. He sends me a text. Says, I want to go at him and everybody he knows. And that was my brief. Like, I want to roast the guy. So me and my buddy director, Meji, we come up with this idea where we set it all in one place and we just bring... you know what? This is boring. Hang on.
Okay. I think it's like when you get on a horse and stuff like that, and props and things like that is what.
I'm trying to remember. Hang on. Bear with me.
That's right. We can pick up again. It's all good.
Pick up from where you guys were.
Because you were saying I want a horse. I'll get it. I was thinking, how much of the production went into that is what I was. But I mean, we don't need to talk specifically about it. If you don't want to talk about the controversial side, that's absolutely fine. You can.
There's no controversial.
You can leave that
I'm
bit.
just trying not to be too boring.
No, mate, it's not. It's really interesting. It's really interesting.
See, this is the thing. I might be talking about stuff that seemed boring to me, but it's like new to
other people.
To other people.
Well, that's the thing, because you've done
that very hard to comprehend.
Yeah. No, but it is hearing how you, like, even just meeting Josh at uni and all of that. That's something I never knew.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's all really interesting.
Yeah.
I think you guys pick up from where you were, and then let's go back into that.
The door's open.
Yeah, it's closed.
All right.
You guys pick up from where you were, so Con, you say...
You pick up.
What was that?
And then I think
Jake.
an interesting thing is, like, maybe just to pick up on how your creative process with just those guys in general?
Yeah.
Like, they're just texting you ideas, and you're just going, cool, how do I enable that? Or is it like, what's the back and forth, I guess, is the interesting thing. Does it have to be a specific, like, he wanted a horse. I mean, it could be he wanted a horse and the fucking horse was a nightmare.
Yeah, see, I found that quite funny.
I'm trying to think what other videos that were...
Like what props or locate...
What I think is interesting as well is, like, it's like, what I think you should definitely talk about is there are these little, like, smart technical things that you have to execute, which is actually quite interesting. Like, you're somebody who really works out how to do that stuff.
I guess the on-point music video is one of them then.
Yeah.
So forget the horse.
Yeah, forget
stuff
like it's more just like what I think it is you're a problem solver. Like you go like, how can I make this?
Yeah.
And then you work out how to make it.
Okay.
Like that's interesting. I guess is what we're getting at.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then also it is definitely interesting that they just text you. Like it's such an informal way of working up ideas. If you're in a movie, like write that into a brief, and then we'll say that like you're just texting.
Yeah, I found that to be quite interesting. So when you were talking about there's no label, it was just you and him. Like the amount of work that goes into that, I think we can touch upon. Like, that's quite incredible. But yeah,
I think let's
pick up off the back of basically pick up where we got stopped.
Yes.
You basically.
Can we talk about diss track times?
For sure.
Yeah, 100%,
all right, cool. Because that's. I feel like during the diss track era of YouTube is where I really got a big time to shine.
Yeah.
Because it was fusing an old passion of my music videos and this new world I've learned about YouTube. And I'm making these small budget diss track videos for some of these creators, and they're pulling in crazy views. I remember Simon's video we shot and I had it edited in 24 hours.
Was that a petrol station one?
The one at the petrol station, I literally had it ready the next day. I'm half awake. He presses upload. A second later refreshes, 40,000 views.
Really? Wow.
Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, as soon as you click refresh, once the upload's gone public, 40,000 views.
Amazing.
And that made me think, by me not being in front of camera explaining possibly how I'm making these videos or what part I'm contributing to this world, I'm missing out on something. So I already have a YouTube channel. It's like an old dormant channel where I used to upload the PSP videos and stuff like that. Create a new channel. I'm like, right, I'm going to explain to people how I'm making these videos.
Yeah, clever.
Because it wasn't just how you make the videos, it's how I'm like what the lifestyle is. It's going out at 8 p.m, shooting a video in 2 hours, staying up all night editing it, making it go live. Like that whole process, it was going undocumented. So I was like, because
everyone had seen the diss track, but no one had seen how you'd done the diss track.
Yeah, and then nobody else was sort of like vlogging or showing the behind the scenes. So I thought this is a great opportunity for me to offer something original to the audience and show my view of things. And at the time, JJ came back from LA from shooting his music video, and he's one of the creators that likes to spend on his music videos. And me having this background in being able to cater for the higher budgets and know what to do with the money to give somebody a nice glossy video came in handy. So we do a diss track on Adam's Apple, it's called.
Net Nobody, isn't it? Or
Net Nobody.
Sky does Minecraft.
Yeah.
Only changed to Net Nobody. Or
publish that, incredible times. I document that, and that's one of my first videos on my YouTube channel. It gets me to like 20,000-30,000 subscribers like that overnight.
Just
KSI in the title.
Yeah.
Was KSI in the title?
KSI was in the title, but
it usually happens.
it didn't even pop off at the time because somebody else made a behind the scenes video about it. It was Fangs and her husband. At the time they were visiting the Sidemen house, so they captured a glimpse of the BTS. So their video like did really well, and mine didn't do so well.
Because it's sort of title and similar title.
Same title. I was like, fair enough. The game's the game. Like
respect it.
Yeah, I ended up getting like good amount of views and reaching out to a new audience. Like diss tracks was such a big thing that even 1 or 10% of the viewership that they were getting on their videos was like a huge win for me. Yeah. So I just continued that. I just started showing day to day, week to week, what happens on my end of the screen. And then it progressed to then JJ saying, hey, I want to do this video idea. And at that time, there was no record labels involved. It was just me and him.
Amazing.
I'd be in the Sidemen house quite a lot. So it was like a lot of face-to-face conversations or a simple text saying, hey, I've got an idea. I'm like, cool, I'll come over, we'll chat about it. Or it just progressed like that. And
go on, sorry.
Because I had the production knowledge from the previous years, I felt very comfortable. I didn't feel out of my depth when it came to making these big projects. And yeah, I thought I stumbled upon a perfect formula. I'm doing work, I'm showcasing it, I'm gaining a new audience who are also having an interest in what I do, which is great. The way I thought about it is, if there's at least 1% of their audience,
because it's so big, their audience,
that would be interested in what I do, like, fantastic.
Well, that's kind of the reason that we started this podcast, right? Because it's the same thing but in a different way. We're talking about the inner workings of this economy that we all work in, and hopefully there's an interest for it. But I feel there is, because it's the people want to see the videos, but there's so much interest in how it all comes about. There's also lots of misconceptions as well. I think
that's one thing I enjoyed breaking down.
The lazy YouTuber. Oh, you just stick a camera, upload it, and then you go and play football for the rest of the day or something.
Or I'd read the comments, and some comments I'd always take them as constructive criticism. So if they mention something, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe I'll do this different this time. Or I'd slowly learn the psychology behind the audience sometimes, so I'd know when to trigger certain feelings or comments from them, to the point where I took those things, and in some music videos, for example, I used Easter eggs to get certain feedback from the audience based on the things that I'm putting into the videos.
Right.
It could be something as simple as, like, you've got this little portrait of me here.
Yeah.
It could be there was one video that had a lot of Easter eggs, and it was the diss track on Logan Paul. It's called On Point. And in there, I'd have, it was set in a castle or a haunted house, and I'd have a portrait of someone, and it would just the camera would just pan across for a second. And if you caught it, there's a new message in that video that you can read into.
Pretty much like we've done there, just hide something.
That's exactly what we've done.
You guys got a frame of me here.
Are you happy with that picture? Have we done well?
I don't mind. Yeah. I'm such an idiot sometimes.
So I see what you're saying. So it's that attention. One thing that we'll put it back there for the attention to detail. One thing that I take from you massively from this is your attention to detail is incredible. Like the way that you're talking, and even watching. I watched a video of you doing Miniminter's setup, and there's obviously amazing parts to it, but the attention to detail that I took for someone that works in the industry, I found incredible. There's a point where in the video you say, the plug sockets are at the right height and the HDMI cables are the right length and I was like, wow, you are literally on absolutely
Did that sound like Rain Man?
No. Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't the most fascinating part of the vid. No, I'm joking. But what I took from that really fascinated me as someone that works in the industry, because not only are you dealing with cameras, lights and all of that, but you're thinking of absolutely everything. And that is a huge skill set that is probably what has taken you to where you are today.
Whereas most people just buy an extension cable or something like that, or just hide it under a bit of trunking.
I don't know where it stems from, all of this stuff.
I was going to ask you, where does that come from?
It's almost like an OCD, isn't it? But it's a positive OCD.
I don't have OCD, because some things I'm like, I don't care for. Like your studio right now.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
critique it. Go on.
Well, you've got cables laying around, but it doesn't bother me. Like that's just how you guys roll right now, right? And if you wanted to tidy it up, sure you could, because everyone's capable of like managing a cable or two. It's not rocket science.
Cables, please. But
what I'm getting at is like that film Groundhog Day, where he relives every day.
Every day.
I guess I feel like anything I do, I try and make it better if there's an opportunity, if I've got time or.
So in the Logan Paul video, that specific scene of just the pan, you in your mind didn't make it an obvious shot, but you wanted certain viewers to see it and certain people to miss
references, underlining tones, references to old films and classics I enjoy. I did a whole breakdown analysis with this on Josh's channel. We literally sat down for like an hour, and I said, like, even the type of color of light I'm using in a specific scene will convey a certain meaning. So there's a scene where the actor who plays Logan's dad, he gets lured into a room, and I color that room with a green light, and I explained it as that green light is his kryptonite. So he's weakened, so he gets dragged into that room.
Yeah.
Because
and that's
of
the reason behind the colour green.
Yeah, that's why I use the green light.
That's incredible though.
Like stuff like that. I know you're not gonna
Yeah.
automatically see everything now with a green light and think, oh, is that kryptonite? No.
But subconsciously.
But that was just my director decision to do something like that, as little as that.
I think that's a great story to actually illustrate how Con works and where he's got. Because he's very modest, but that just that small nugget
Just
of
those
information.
those
you can
Or
see
like
where he's
even
got to where he is.
that arm there, like why is it like that? What's that representing? Like what combination could
there's
you
no
have had it?
thought process with us
Do you
here.
know what? No,
That's just a prop.
No, but just that's the type of things I look at. Things.
But that's where you've got to where you are, because your attention to detail, and that is adamant in a lot of videos I've seen. Your behind the scenes vlogs, and
I don't think it started like that. I
Did
think
it not? It just evolved, did it?
where you just do so much of something, like it begins to feel the same. How can you make every day different? How can you make this scene different? And you just start thinking about those things once you're so comfortable with the basics.
Yeah. Can I ask you about your relationship with KSI? Because obviously, one of the biggest YouTubers out there,
Yeah.
an incredible guy. Obviously, you work with him. Well, Stu, I've worked with him. What he's achieved, not just in YouTube, but also you're talking
It's
about his music
incredible.
careers, boxing. It is actually amazing. What is your relationship like with him? And give us an insight into what he's like to work with.
It's great. I feel like sometimes he forgets who I am, to be honest, because he's so big now.
Yeah,
He's got so many people that do stuff. No, I feel so grateful to have such an early access in his career where I got to be a part of it as well. Our relationship has always been great. He's such a creative guy and he gives opportunities. So I'm there to take them and I want to make them the best I can be.
We talk about that in pretty much every podcast we do, don't we? You can't help coming back to what I call the KSI economy.
Yeah.
The amount of people that have livelihoods in this industry now because of KSI.
Yeah.
And because of the Sidemen.
Yeah, he gave me, like, I was doing music videos before, but those music videos were limited in a way because of so many people's opinions and pleasing different things. So I never really got a chance to stand out how I truly want to be looked at. So for like stuff like detail.
Yeah.
Because what do music labels want? They just want their artists to be popular. What's popular? You know, cool cars.
Right. So when you were working with the mainstream music artists, you would say
it was
you were
very
restricted in your creativity because there was a norm you had to conform to.
Exactly.
But with
yeah.
KSI, it was completely different.
It was, there was no middleman involved at that time when I was working with him, to the point where we could experiment and do all these crazy ideas. Cool. Some were a bit too much. Some were just right, you know?
I love that, yeah. And in terms of the creative, I just wanted to sort of tap into how that works. So for a music video or a diss track, or even a YouTube video you're doing, is it JJ that comes to you with, this is exactly how I want it to work? Does he ask you, how do you think it should work? How does that work if you've got, say, different ideas for the same project?
I'd always ask the client about, what type of direction do you want to take this? Do you want to give it a theme? Do you want specific things in the video, like related to your lyrics? Because you're the one that wrote this, you're the one that produced the track. Like, what vision do you have? I try to get as much as possible out from the person. And sometimes with JJ, he'll just say, yeah, I want to be this particular music video called Pull Up, that's featuring JME. He said, I want to be the villain on this. I want to be the bad guy.
Okay.
That's the only brief I got. So I'm there rambling in my head, like, how do I make you the villain? And then what role is JME going to take? Because he can't then be a good guy. He has to sort of be somewhere in between.
Story,
yeah, and there was like a story that was being told in the track. I just remember trying to think of this idea, and I was in a Sainsbury's shop. I'm going back up to my flat in the elevator. Just normal, like pack of ramen and some Doritos.
Nice, good crisp.
Wasn't a great healthy
Other
diet.
crisps are available.
And I pressed the elevator button. For some reason, I'm thinking journalists. Why am I thinking of journalists? I'm like, oh, mobster theme. What if JJ's this villain from The Mask? I started thinking about The Mask.
Yeah.
And my elevator's going up, and I'm only on the second floor, so it goes up quick. And I'm thinking about all this stuff in a flash. Like, right, he's got to be a mobster. Jamie's going to be a reporter because that's a neutral party, so he's not like a policeman or anything like that. He can't represent police, it's not his style, not his image. And then we'll have bad guys, and I'll fuse the references from Mask and make it all quirky and style it in a mobster theme, film noir. Boom, went down, forgot to eat my food, wrote down the treatment, we locked off the idea, put it into production, done.
That's incredible. And when you say...
And those moments can strike any time.
So you're literally in Sainsbury's, and that's you. Because my next question, I think you've answered it there, was do you have a team that you sit down? Because you go to PR companies now or labels, and they will have, if they get a brief, I imagine you'll be able to talk more about this, but I imagine they'll have a team of people, loads of days, loads of time. But
I'm too rogue. You can't lock me up in an office and make me like...
But in that instance, that is your team of the creativity is you in a lift in Sainsbury's. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm out of Sainsbury's by now. I'm in the lift.
That's not the point. Yeah.
This idea was made from going from floor 1 to floor 2.
By yourself. And the treatment, why? Because for people that don't understand the treatment, obviously just...
Treatment is a document where you write everything that you've got in your head and how you want it to look, to the point where anybody can open this document and you don't have to explain it to them again. They just read it one off and they know what they have to do. So that document will then go out to the stylist. So the stylist will then know, okay, I need to get all of these costumes ready. That document will go out to the cinematographer, who would know what type of look I want. So there was a scene where I described the lens will zoom in. So they know they have to rent a zoom lens. Yeah. Like everything in my brain's like very logistical.
Yes.
It's like I'm more of a person that I don't like to talk too much about all the creative and too much. I just like knowing, how are we going to do this? When is it going to happen? I just like to lock things off.
So that treatment, because I've seen treatments in the past as well.
Yeah.
And that, as you said, gets sent to camera ops, to
I'll
directors,
send you the treatment so we can put it up on the screen.
I'd love to see that. That gets sent to lighting, to sound, to wardrobe, to everything. Obviously, that's for a whole video, and there's a lot in that. Again, next question is that just you doing the entire treatment?
Yeah.
See, I mean, that is...
Well, you'd pass it to other people to make sure you're not doing anything stupid or silly. But
it's all your vision, is what I'm getting. The whole vision of all of that is one person.
Yeah, importantly, someone like KSI will have to sign off on that because it's his thing. So he has to put in a lot of trust on my side that I know that I've got this on lock.
Yeah.
But this is where people who aren't as forward thinking as JJ need the bigger teams, or might have to rely on bigger teams to lock off certain aspects to make sure that this final piece of product gets delivered safe after spending so much money. It's only because we developed so much trust throughout our working career, like working on the diss tracks, that he's like, you've got this, you'll be fine.
Yeah, being on the same page is everything, right?
It'll be very difficult for me to go up to another director and do the same thing without having to work with them in the past.
Yeah,
so we had a working relationship that built to that stage where he can give me a certain budget. I say, don't worry about it. Next week, we'll be done by.
It's incredible, though, the creative direction and license and the amount that Con's involved in that. Because, I mean, give us an example of when you do a brand deal for one of your clients or work with the music label. There'd be a lot more people than one person involved, wouldn't
That's
there?
exactly what I was going to say. If you think of a music video, 20 or 30 people will probably touch a mainstream, I don't know, Amory or whatever her label is. For one of her music videos, 20 or 30 people will probably be involved in that creative process, right?
And you know what?
They'll be sitting around, mood boards going off,
and that's what takes the fun out away for me. Not that I don't enjoy working in bigger teams.
Yeah.
Just being surrounded by YouTube, I'm so used to this fast turnover, pace world, that it's just so exciting to live like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But also when it goes out, it's yours, right? You look at it and go, this is my vision. You've not had somebody else, an assistant director or whatever, come in.
Yeah,
and
you don't have to compromise on.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that, like the greatest of films and a lot of music videos, there's a lot of other cool projects that are created by having a bigger team. So I'll never knock it, because one day I'll probably find myself in that position where I might have a new appreciation for that kind of world. But right now, this is my experience. This is what I've enjoyed. So I just want to make that clear. And
cool.
Just in case they think, oh, you don't like this, I'll give it a shot. But so far, this has been my route.
I don't think you would. I always think, I'm speaking about myself personally, but obviously running my own business and stuff like that, and not being employed effectively or having anyone to answer to, to me, my biggest worry about running my own business is actually one day it might not work, and I might have to go and work for someone else again. And I'm unemployable now, because to go and sit in an office and be told, hey Stu, you've got to do this or do that, or turn up here, or we don't like that, we're going to do it this way. I don't know if I can handle that. And it would be the same for if you've been used to riding solo so much, right? That if you're part of a team and they're going, no, Con, we don't like that idea, we're going to do this.
Yeah,
and
you feel this small, don't you? You're like, okay.
It becomes when you're so ingrained, especially where you've worked solo pretty much your entire life, it will be difficult, right, to then go and work for a record label and work in a big production team where you.
That's a whole new challenge, though. Well, that could be seen as a whole new challenge. Like, you just got to do it. Other people have done it, but I understand what you mean, and it's
easier to go from
that's
being
the fear
in a
of a freelancer, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you ever feel like going to a record label and saying, all of these people in this room coming up with this creative, I can do all of that myself?
Nah, because I'm pretty sure they're much better at certain other things than I'm not. You know, two brains or multiple.
But with one brain, you're going to get consistency, right, in the message of the video. Yeah. It's difficult to get consistency in a 3-4 minute music video if 10 people want it, because everyone's going to want their stamp in it, and you're not going to all think
I think there's advantages and disadvantages to both, aren't you? Obviously, the more people in the room, you've got a more diverse and inclusive way and different thoughts.
It also depends on your personality.
Maybe it might take longer because there's more people involved. So
it depends on your personality as well. Like, I like taking the burden of this whole thing being 100% mine,
even if there's a lot of work. With
because with the the good things, you've also got to take the bad, what are the negative comments.
Go on, what are the real challenges of you doing a diss track on your own or doing all the creative? Or what are the tough points to that?
Well, there's been times where perhaps we need another filming day, and it's a frustrating time because maybe you've messed up on something, and then now the client needs to spend more money to make it happen.
It's amazing you say that, actually, because with all the shoots I've done, I've always spoken to, whenever I speak to a cameraman, camerawoman or director, someone always has an issue of footage that has got corrupted or backed up. And obviously
I've done a whole podcast where the audio didn't get recorded.
Really?
Yeah, but it was recording.
So what's your advice to people that are doing podcasts like us? How do you have multiple hard drives, multiple backups? You have
just be up to date with your tech changes so much that if I was to give a piece of advice now, it'll probably change next month or next year.
Yeah.
So just keep up to date with what you're doing, have backups.
Yeah.
And
it's good advice.
Be nice so people don't fire you.
We're backing this up, Stu. That's importantly. I wanted to ask you about that Sainsbury's story. I just found so fascinating. Have you got any other examples of times when you're out and about and you've had to think of a creative and it's just come to you like that?
All the time. So
really?
Stu, you bring me a lot of brand deal stuff, right? And the reason I love that is because, again, I am the one in control of creating something cool for the brand and speaking and getting their message out there in my video in my own creative way. I've always wanted to get into advertising. But that is like the M&S adverts, the beautiful
coming up
cinematic.
with the creative for the adverts, you mean?
Yeah, or just like knowing how to make it. And I just love watching adverts and creating them. And I feel like YouTube and like brand deal stuff has helped me go towards that path. So I remember it was during lockdown. Only places you were allowed to go was like food shopping. Yeah. So again, I went to my local Sainsbury's. I was like, I need to do a video this week. Like, what can I do that's relevant? That would represent what I do as well, and still ticks off that urge for me to make videos because I'm locked away. I can't make anything. I'm like creatively frustrated. So I see there's bags of Doritos on sale. They're like going for a quid each. Yeah. So I get all the flavors, and then I'll make an advert for them that night. By advert, I mean like I take product shots of them. Yeah. I document that, make it a video. And then that video becomes really successful. I don't know why. Wow. Because I would have just done that anyway. Yeah.
So that was just a creative idea you had that you then turned into a monetizing opportunity. Because of what idea you had.
But you're different to 90% of YouTubers. Not going to speak ill of other people that we represent and stuff, but you are probably the easiest to work with because you have that creative mindset. You have that marketing side to you. So we work with all of our creators are great creators. They create entertainment for whatever field it might be, whether it's be gaming or lifestyle or comedy and stuff. But then to be able to market a product as well, I wouldn't say that many YouTubers have that, but you've got that. So we can just give you a brief and we don't, because we're definitely not marketers, and that's one thing that we don't do. We're trying to improve on it in terms of being creative, but we do bring in negotiate deals and spin it. We're not that creative, but you can give Con something and he'll just come up with something amazing.
Go on, give us an example then. You obviously represent all of these artists, you represent Con. So in Con's case, a brand will come to you, you'll go to Con, and then he'll do all the creative. But you're saying he's one of the best at the creation of
no,
a
we'll
brand.
just give you the brief and say, oh, it's be ready in 2 weeks, and then off we go, and we'll try and make some more money, and we'll check back in 2 weeks. And most of the time, he's like, there you go. And very rarely do you get pushback, do you? Very rarely is it, oh, can you edit this? Can you do this? Oh, I don't like this.
I love the satisfaction of reading the brief and giving the final product, knowing that I've ticked every single box on that brief.
Yeah.
And some probably. With
and some more, and still try to keep it like in my own style. I think that's where I find in particular interest in doing brand deals and stuff like that, is because I came from a freelancer world where I'd ghostwrite treatments, I'd come up with ideas, I'd I'd do a bit of everything on set. So
I don't want to big him up too much, because he'll start asking for us to take less commission.
He's zero on the invoice.
No, but this is giving me an opportunity to work with these cool brands and represent them in my own way without.
But also, you can do brand deals pretty much. You can do brand deals more often than pretty much any other YouTuber as well, because you integrate it so creatively. What is at least half your videos have got a brand deal in, maybe more.
All of them now.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, all of them.
All of your videos have got a brand deal in.
Yeah, well, keep him busy.
Got a good agent, isn't he?
Very good. Go on, explain that then. Why he can do it better than others.
I've got about 200 and something, over 250 videos on my channel, by the way.
Yeah,
and about 50 of them were like just starter videos that weren't brand friendly. Sorry, not brand friendly. That didn't have any brands in them.
Integration.
Yeah. I should have worked out how many brand deals we've done. We must have done 100, I reckon.
Let's keep that private. They can count themselves.
Literally go on his YouTube.
But I tell you what, I made it a point when I started YouTube. I was like, I need to make this sustainable. What can I do? I need to make a relationship with an agency that can help me bring in deals that can sustain the channel, because it's a lot of work itself. Like running all of it, spending a lot of time on the videos itself. It is a very intense full-time job, and then eventually you'd start hiring people and that. So I wanted to see it as a long-term thing. So I remember messaging you, asking you, at what point can you start bringing me something in? And you said, I don't know, 50,000 subs. I was like, right.
Really? So it was that early on that you were messaging Stu?
Yeah. It was from the beginning when I made my channel, because I had the vision of where I wanted to be and how it's going to be, and it's working out like that already.
And how does that conversation work with you two? Is obviously I'm with an agency, but a different agency. From someone like Con and yourself, how does that relationship work? You said he needed to get to 50,000, and when he gets to 50,000, did you have regular meetings?
There was no promises. You just said at this stage we can start pushing you out a bit more.
And it wasn't because we couldn't have done. If I'm being completely honest, it wasn't because we couldn't have done when he was a smaller. There are agencies out there.
I just had nothing to show for.
Right. There are agencies out there that if you've got 10k subs, they'll bring you money, and it might be a couple £100 and stuff like that. But from our agency, where we're this will sound really snobby or whatever, or arrogant now, but we work with premium talent. So we're working in a different market. So we couldn't really bring in. We don't have brands that are looking to spend on a channel that does 10,000 views or whatever. They're coming in looking to spend. They want 100,000 views or 1 million views, etc.
And that's part of the research I do on my end to know who to approach. And Stu was top of that list. So
straight away, easy ones. Yeah.
Well,
why was that?
Well, you uploads a collaboration with some of the Sidemen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there was that initial trust with the boys. I'd ask the boys. I'd be like, "Hey, I'm looking to do this. Like, what would you advise?" And like, hit Stu up and find out.
And once the channel started to grow and we started to get you brand deals, and like I say, pretty much every video now has got a brand deal in. No other creator could do that, because no other creator would do the integrations into their video in such a creative way that it almost doesn't feel like an advert. It's actually entertainment in itself. Actually, I'll say that Ethan does. We generally, every one of his main channel videos has got a brand deal in from us now, but that's because he doesn't upload often. But yeah, it's a really difficult skill.
I'd say creators are really adapting right now to now make it what you say, like Mr. Beast tries to, split it between entertainment entertainment integration,
right?
Like in like the 30 seconds.
I mean, it should be expected. I think there's a bit of a.
I think it's just from early days people got away with. Hang on, pause the video.
Yeah.
Right. Blah, 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 use link description. Thanks. All right, back to my video.
Like the Jake Paul and Logan Paul with their merch. Buy my merch. Buy my merch. Buy
Do you also think the viewer now sees through that a little bit more because there's much ad and paid partnerships you can look at as a consumer that they go, hang on a minute, I originally follow you because you're entertaining, not because you're selling me a product. So that's where the skill set of integration really comes to the forefront because 100%. You want to do something. Do you agree with that?
And that's where, as the bigger you get and the more of an audience you develop, you get better brands approaching you, so you get more relevant brands. So if you're doing something fitness related, you might have a sportswear company or a food company. Yeah, exactly. And that is like such a good synergy of brand integrations. So, but when you're first starting up, you're not going to get that. But it depends what your future vision is. I don't know. Maybe people had different ways of.
But brands will look at your channel. They'll look at how you integrate your adverts in such a creative way, and it's the snowball effect. If you do something good, it goes on your channel. You've got an advert on your own channel of you doing an advert, so people are like, okay, he really puts attention. Which
is exactly why a lot of YouTubers are so prominent with their brand deals, because you've literally got all the analytics. The brand can have a look at, which you can't do on other platforms. Yeah.
Exactly. So you want Con's one of the only ones that could get away with almost every video being a brand deal. And you take some deals, which, to be fair, over the years, I'm like, it's not enough money, Con. You're like, yeah, but it's easy, isn't it?
Do you have those chats and you have disagreements sometimes about whether it's right financially or right for
I'd say this is like, it suits the type of video I'm going to post.
Yeah.
This will like flow into it very smooth, for example.
So you're looking and go, oh, do you know what? In this instance, actually, it's probably not as much as I want, but this is a video idea. This is basically becomes part of the video. Yeah. It's not going to affect the retention of the video, people clicking off the video and stuff. Let you don't, not as much now, because people know the value of Con, and brands can't, for want of a better word, take the piss as much as they would have done in the early days. But yeah, because you can make it flow so well, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's not great this time, but they'll have to pay more next time, but let's give them a shot. And
does it work the other way, though? Sometimes a brand comes in with loads of money. Well, I won't talk figures, obviously, but it doesn't fit. Is that frustration for you?
To be fair, so from my side, some of the stuff doesn't even get to Con, because it's like, Con's not going to do that. He's not going to do it. Right. I was about to say you're not going to do a Raid Shadow Legends, but you probably have.
I've done one.
You're thinking, why didn't you tell me what the brief is?
I was literally about to say, like, I'll never take a Raid Shadow Legends, and because we do so many deals, I'm like,
no, Raid Shadow Legends was on my tick to do, like, bucket list of companies I'd want to do a video for, because you see so many other successful YouTubers doing integration with them. It's like the moment I get a Raid Shadow Legends, I've made it as a YouTuber. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like deals like that sometimes.
There is, because I get it all the time from our creators and stuff. Like, there'll be a particular brand that's spending lots of money. I don't know, Air Up are clearly spending lots of money at the moment, and doing lots and lots of integration. So creators will kind of come to me and go, "Can I have an Air Up deal, please?" Because everyone else is doing them. They kind of want to be part of it, and also they want the money.
There we go.
But I think it's very cool to be able to work with brands and just tick off the things that they want you to promote. I think that's pretty cool. And also, I think the audience is very, like, you can be very self-aware as a YouTuber sometimes. So, like, for example, I got a Raid Shadow Legends deal. When you first get that, I've noticed, like, my audience were, like, very supportive. That go on, get that bread, and like, it's amazing to have that.
It is, it's the
way audience is very smart. They know when you're like promoting something,
or actually it's a passion of yours. I know exactly what I mean. I was going to ask you actually about how you balance that transition from being known as the guy behind the camera to now being a YouTube with over 1 million subscribers, which again is another achievement. And then obviously there's lots of great things that come with that. The brand deals, obviously you can monetize that, but you've also got the comments. What social media can be very opinionated in a good and a bad way. So how did you deal with that transition to being in front of the camera?
I think you got if you're not ready to take the heat for something, then you're just not ready for YouTube.
Right.
But then also, if you don't want controversial comments, don't be controversial yourself. Don't be involving yourself in political views and stuff like that, because that's the easiest way to wind people up, isn't it? So I have no interest in that personally.
No.
I like being locked away in my room, making cool cinematic videos and delivering a vibe to people watching the videos.
And keeping it happy and
I either want to make them smile, feel something. Oh, for example, I did a video about how I made Ethan's baby shower video, and there's a scene. Gender reveal party.
Yeah.
And there was a scene where at the end he hugs his mum, and I put like emotional music in the background. So I made a whole video describing how, you know, I used certain aspects of filmmaking to heighten the mood and make the audience feel something that was already there, but I just amplified it using certain things. So that's what I love doing. I love geeking out over film or any other passions I'm discovering. Like I'm discovering I'm good at setting up computer gaming setups. I'm discovering I'm good at managing building projects. Like I built my whole studio in a matter of 6 months.
How do you balance your time is a question I wanted to ask you, because you've got a YouTube channel, you're still doing a lot of videography and behind the scenes. You've also got your own studio, I'm right in thinking, Icon Studios, which you can branch out to whoever wants to hire the studio. So how, do you employ people now to work for you? Does someone look after the studio, someone look after your YouTube channel? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, you delegate. I've learned off the guys, you know, same as JJ trusted me with making his music video, I'd now trust somebody else to manage a certain aspect of something I don't have much time for. Or I'd have other people that are passionate in videography, and I'd bring them into that world, and they'd help me with certain aspects of that, and in exchange they learn and work in that environment. So
is trust a big thing for you? Because obviously
it
sounds
like good to have.
Trust was massive from the Sidemen to you, and obviously you're in that inner circle. So I imagine the people in your inner circle are people that you either work with a long time or that you trust dearly.
Yeah, I like working and developing. Like if someone's got a passion for something and I can see it and they're putting in the work, I like to help them grow that and then see them flourish and do stuff.
It's easier said than done though, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
but owning multiple. Cause
I fell into that accidentally though. I had a friend of mine called John. He was traveling around Australia, and then he got back into England from like a corporate job. He was hating life. He messaged me on Facebook. He said, "Please, I want to do what you do." And he's got no knowledge in filming. I've just studied with him in college, so I know him. He's a good guy. Yeah. So all right, well, fine. If you want a chance, turn up to mine 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'll put you through your paces. He turns up half an hour early.
Good start.
Yeah.
Does that the next day, the day after. The guy was just unstoppable. Everything I throw at him, he just learns, picks my brain, I pick his brain. Good synergy of things. It was good for me to also understand how to pass my knowledge down to someone as well.
Yeah.
It's like shortcut them away through like all of my bad experiences, so they avoid mistakes. Like, don't do this because then your camera won't work. Do that, do this. It was just really interesting to then not always be the one learning, but then passing down what I've learned.
Okay.
And that was I've learned a lot about myself there. You learn how to be patient with someone.
Yeah.
Just all of those aspects of things.
But do you, so you're creating stuff for yourself, you're creating stuff for other people. Yeah. And then you've got a studio, a bricks and mortar business as well. So I've had several businesses. I was guilty over the last few years of going, right, okay, we're going to do everything. That's why we did KSI v Logan, because it was one of them ones where it's like, well, I don't want anyone else to do it. I'm going to do it. So we just built a boxing event, and we done that consumer show upload and stuff, and really definitely burning myself out by just wanting to have a piece of everything. And then I started a merchandise business rather than we did con hoodies. Not con hoodies in Snidey hoodies. They were real ones, but thanks.
I got it. He likes to divulge, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no. But so I had 3 different businesses. I had a merch business. I had a workwear business because I thought, I've got all these printers, so I'll do a workwear business off the back of it using the printers and stuff. And I've got the agency, and it ended up that the 2 merch business and the printer business failed. Cost me loads of money. Pretty much everything I made in a 2-year period, I lost on those businesses, and it was all because I just couldn't handle having 3 different mindsets. One of them was enough for me, but I couldn't go from discussing a YouTube video.
But tell me this, right? You've learned from that, and you've ticked that desire off your list. So now you know what your troubles were. So it's like you've got it off your chest. But how frustrated would you have been if you've never tried it?
Oh yeah, no, I don't look. I don't look back and look at it.
You don't regret it, is what you're getting at.
Right.
No, it's now all it's done is for moving forward. It's focused me on just stick to the agency shoot. Don't get involved in anything else. Don't be too desperate to have fingers in so many pies. That's why I don't get involved in the boxing anymore. The charity match I do because it's my baby, and it's for a good cause. But apart from that, I'm not really interested in events and stuff like that because I've learnt my lesson on. There's only so much that I can, from a mental capacity, that I can take on. I've got a 7-month-old baby now, which kind of has replaced the businesses that failed in terms of giving me the more work and anything that goes with having a young baby. So the fact that you can still balance 3 businesses and stuff and sit both sides of the cameras and keep your stuff going, I find really impressive.
What's that saying where everything seems brighter on the other side?
Well, no, it's not easy, right? That's
What's
the grass
saying?
is not always greener. Is that the one you're looking at? Yeah.
Well, no, I could say the same to you. Yeah. There are troubles in certain businesses, and you're right. There's nothing wrong with saying like that failed, because every business person that I've seen on a podcast, they've got a whole bunch of failures.
Totally agree.
But then it's because you're trying. It's because you're
willing to take a gamble.
Some of the most successful people in business actually say they've had more. Well, nearly all of them say they've had more unsuccessful businesses. The one that was successful outweighed all of the ones that weren't. And it's what you said,
it's something you weren't expecting to be successful in the first place. Just blew up.
And you'd rather regret not. To your point, I think you were alluding to the fact you'd rather regret
not trying it in the first place
than not doing it. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. So
I think it's
that's where I'm at. And if something doesn't work, you slowly phase it out, or you learn something from that failure that then you don't bring into the next sort of idea. But it's a hard balance,
especially but more so creatively because me I'm trying to cut down, and I'd imagine we do similar hours at 80 to 100 hours a week sometimes and stuff, and that's what this industry is. But so my kind of mental capacity, I do all of my contract reading and all of my level of creative stuff, which is generally proofreading contracts. So I do it at 6 a.m. If it gets to 9 a.m, you can't put anything that I need to really focus on in front of me, because then the phone starts ringing, the emails start coming, the text starts coming, other stuff, and I just can't focus on it. So
and that's perfectly natural as well. The amount of conversations I've seen where people say that all the time. It's your earliest mornings is when you have the most attention and effort to.
Do you find that? Do you find 100%. Your head's clear? Your creative ideas come when you wake up in the morning and you're
100%. Or it could be that random occasion where I'm in a lift. You know.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with the ideas and the right sort of things in your space, that idea can come to you in the most random of times when you're not thinking about it.
Because that's what I was kind of getting at. It becomes, I think it's even harder for you to balance lots of things than it would be to me, because you need your clear mind, brain power for your creative energy and a clear headspace.
Well, that's what helps
for an hour or 2 a day.
That's what helps by not having me locked down in an office 9 to 5. It helps that I can nip out for a scenic drive somewhere and clear my mind to do those type of things.
Amazing. I think it's a perfect note to end it with. I just want, before we go, just ask you what's next with the future. I know you're on a health kick as well. You're looking very well, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that and what we can expect to see Con branching out into, because you're pretty much everywhere at the minute. Tell us what the future holds.
I've never been focused on fitness, but it's always been in the back of my mind. Never really cared for it. I was always like, work, do this, that. Now I just don't know. I just felt like I want to try this as a challenge to myself, because it brings on whole new challenges. I feel like maybe with videography or certain things I'm doing in that side of things, I'm getting a bit too bored. It's a bit too clockwork. It's a bit too samey, repetitive. So what can I do? I need to start learning new things. What about start learning about my own body? So I've tried to dedicate myself, try and get a bit fitter, eating healthier, and just understanding that side of things, and see if that could bring on new creativity for videography, not to make it so what I feel like repetitive right now.
Are you finding that your head's clearer that it's helping you kind of you're waking up a bit fresher in the mornings and you're getting more productive out your day.
Yes, but I'm still. It's a journey. I'm still on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Essentially, I am feeling better, feeling more energized. I don't feel like that much pressure on me.
Yeah.
I feel like by giving time to myself, it might impact a deadline or two, but then it's like maybe stop taking on so much.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, and that goes back to what we were just saying there about my personal kind of businesses and stuff, and I want to lose weight and get fit and stuff like that. But before we start recording, like we were joking about it, weren't we? I just grabbed there was a grab bag of Doritos. I was like, oh, we're going to be here for a while. I might be hungry later, so I just literally chowed down a bag of Doritos. I've got such an unhealthy lifestyle, but it's getting to that point where you've got to say, okay, I'm going to do something about it now. I'm going to get there, and hopefully I'm going to get there in the not too distant future.
Telling people you're going to do it helps,
because they keep asking about it.
And at one point they go, listen mate, I'm tired of you telling me about it, just bloody do it. And I was like, you know what, I'm becoming that guy that says, I'm going to go to gym.
See, once I get into the mood of it, I can do it. I run from probably about 8 or 9 years ago now, ran from London to Brighton, and I wasn't far off what I was now, and in 6 months trained and just did it. I was getting to the point of before I set up Upload, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and I was getting just to the point where I would have been too old to go back in the army, and that was the only thing. And I was like, okay, and it was I was having dreams about being in the army and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, I've got to kill this thought. And in my head, I was like, okay, I've got to get fit, and I've got to do something crazy. So I'd never done a marathon before, never done anything before, and I was like, I'm going to run from London to Brighton.
That's such an extreme.
I trained to go London to Brighton. I didn't even train that much, because it's a bit of a myth that you have to be physically fit to do that. You have to be mentally tough more than physically fit.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, I want to know that mentally I'm strong enough to go back in the army if I want, and physically I'm strong enough to go back in the army if I want to. So I did it, completed it, and literally as soon as I finished the finish line, I was like, okay, I don't need to go back in the army, but I know that I could if I want to.
Yeah, psychologically it was a good thing to do.
So it kind of closed that chapter. I was like, I could if I wanted to, because clearly mentally my knees were buggered. At one point on the South Downs towards Brighton, I was running down the hill backwards past the pub. It was like 11 o'clock at night, because my knees were so shot to pieces that I couldn't go downhill because of the pressure on it. So I was literally jogging backwards down this hill past the pub. They were like, what the hell was this guy on?
Impressive.
That is an extreme, I'll give you that. I feel like, just like, for example, why did you grab that pack of Doritos? Just because it was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's habitual. I think because I'm constantly tired at the moment, because of the hours of work and because of having a young baby and stuff like that, and getting up on the train from Southampton to here, it's just like, it's comfort eating, isn't it? It's just training your mind to say, you don't need that.
I'm the worst with comfort eating. I love to eat to the point where my stomach hurts and bulges, and that's where I'm satisfied, and I'm like, okay, the bad day could be a good day because of that. So I've been very toxic with food, but just trying to have this new discipline with myself about, no, you can control yourself. That's rewarding to have. So just changing everything in my environment, not to crack under the pressure of grabbing that bad snack, because it's just not there anymore. All good snacks are available there. But also, don't make your life miserable by going for all these important, super healthy things. There are actually just normal foods are fine to eat, as long as you're not over consuming them. So
and it is a case of, like, I love a pub and love a beer.
You drink your calories, don't you?
I think so. I think so. But so if I was to go back into fitness, and when I did the London to Brighton as well, I couldn't do. I'm not a 7 day a week person. I'm just not going to drink for 3 months. I've got to go to the pub, so I have to have a cheat day. And the way that I did it back then was just, I worked bloody hard during that week. But on the Friday, I'd go to the gym, I'd do a walk and everything, and I'd literally just eat celery sticks, and then go, right, I've got enough for 6 pints in my allowance now. Not the most healthy way of doing it, but it worked for me, and I still got a pint. So
fair enough. Con, another string to your bow, this very large bow that you've got, is setups, studio setups.
I have no idea how I fell into it. But again, this is what I love doing, and I've learned that about myself. I just sort of, if something works well, I embrace it, and I see where it can take me. So setups being one of them, I enjoy it.
Who have you done? Go on, give us some of the names of people that you've done.
All the YouTube boys that I work with already. I have had requests from like football players.
Have you?
Musicians.
Can you give us some names of requests you've had, or?
This is going to sound really bad because I'm not into football. I don't really know their names.
Right.
I'd have to look through my phone again.
It's going to be someone really famous, isn't it?
No, it's some actual pretty cool people. Yeah.
So how's that work? You've done KSI's setup. You've done Mini Minter's setup. Who else?
It all started from Toby's.
Right.
I don't know why. This is where it stemmed from. Bought a house.
Yeah.
Started doing it up. Started documenting it. Did my office. Transformed it to a really cool space.
Yeah.
And then being friends with the Sidemen, some of them saw the video.
Right.
Toby's like, saw you'd done your office. It looks pretty cool. Like, can you help me with mine? My brother's moved out. I've got a spare room. I want to move my current setup to the new office. So it wasn't anything fancy. We just moved some things around, added some new gadgets, tidied it up, put all the cables in nice places, hidden all away. And that was the video, and it just stemmed from there. All of a sudden, somebody's got a fresh new house. They want me to build a new setup in. Well, okay, let's do it. This is the stuff you got to order.
Amazing.
I'll go and do it.
You might enjoy that, right?
Yeah, I love watching renovation programs like DIY stuff. I said, I've done up my whole house, so I've run out of rooms to do. So I needed other people's rooms.
And of course, what happened was that is like Mini Minter's one, KSI's one, are on YouTube. So now that effect of
they're the biggest
KSI
creators in the UK,
exactly.
and all of a sudden, I'm giving an audience an insight into their personal home.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the attraction is. It's like when you see a footballer's house. Of course, you want to see how big their telly is, right?
So
it's the same
back
thing.
To the crib stage, isn't it?
These streamers, they want to see like what kind of PC components they got, like what keyboards and mice, and how do they film themselves. So there's a whole new interest from the stream community, or like a YouTube community. Anyone fascinated in that type of stuff, watching these videos. So it's opened me up to a whole brand new world of opportunities as well.
And do you think that's why footballers and music, you said, so that I imagine some big footballers, you said, and big music artists have approached you. Is that because they've seen you do KSI setup? Much,
I can take any scope on. If you just want me to tidy cables, I can do that. Recently done that for Chris MD in his office.
Right.
I've somehow turned that into a video. But people find them really satisfying. Or if you want me to do a project where, we tear down the walls, we put like new materials on them and lights, and we do custom builds where you get a green screen drop down from your ceiling with a press of a button. That's the type of stuff like I can offer.
For you actually.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got a studio.
I've got to ask you, what's your favourite setup you've done? If you had to pick one.
That's such an unfair question. All of them present unique challenges and experiences.
Who's your favourite Sidemen?
Right. And that's where we end that podcast.
As well. Look at that. No, fair enough. But it's something you enjoy. And do we expect to see some pretty big names? Are you talking Premier League footballers that have messaged you? Big music stars? Are we talking those kind of
I'm going to
setups?
guess, and then we'll find out who it is off camera.
Would you vlog them if you did that?
If they're up for it, yeah. If they like...
I reckon someone like Raheem Sterling or Mason Mount or Declan Rice.
They just pay for the stuff, and I'll just turn up and do it, and or we can like get people to like redesign their bedroom and make it look sick. So
nice. Watch this.
Any other people listening? Bring me in.
That's another channel, isn't it?
Perfect.
Con's renovation channel.
Imagine
program, TV program, YouTube series.
I love watching renovation programs. I love them.
Don't do as much. Just coming up with more
the 60-minute redesign your home program.
It's never 60 minutes, by the way. Sorry,
I know.
No, absolutely not. It's like I think Ground Force. The town I'm in, Charlie Dimmock. He lives in that Ground Force thing. Oh, we've done this in a day. It's like I've seen the Ground Force lorries out there for like 2 weeks at a time and stuff.
I'd love to have my own program where everyone comes in like their own con-branded jackets and
but with your following and the fact that you've got Premier League footballers, YouTubers, music artists wanting you to do that surely is not beyond the realms of possibility.
Could happen
to have a channel or a series like that.
See, that's another opportunity. Am I going to add more stress to my life to try and make it a reality? Possibly. I'm not turning it down.
I think you're doing
the opportunity's there.
I think you're doing it right.
Could that be realistic as his agent?
I would say a lot of the theme of this podcast has been about sticking to focusing on fewer things and doing them well. So I would say probably I'd say it's a great channel, and if he was doing it on
it comes with a great responsibility. You're coming into someone's home, and if you're delaying the project and you're making their life miserable, like you want to do it properly. So the opportunity's there. I would love to grab it, but I want to do it properly. I don't want to let people down.
Con, it's been brilliant having you on. It's great to see the health kicks going well. And
Thank you.
I have to say, fascinating learning about all the different facets of your career in the industry. And I think, obviously, you're going to be someone that's going to be around for many years to come. So thank you for coming on. Stu, I'm going to give you the last word with this one because you've described this man as the busiest man on YouTube. I know that you've got a close relationship with him as your client. So where do you think Con will be in a few years, and how much do you enjoy working with him?
Con is the busiest man on YouTube. I think that anyone that's thinking about being part of this career, having a career in YouTube, whether it be this side of the camera or the other side of the camera, look at what Con's doing. You go back to what you said at the start, say yes to everything at the start when you were learning your trade.
Within reason, like if you've got the opportunity to do that, do it.
I did that exact thing, by the way, because when I started as a runner at Sky, I did a bit of directing shoots, bit in an edit suite, a bit of sitting in front of the camera. So when I became a presenter, I'd had the background of editing, directing, producing. And what it does is, and there's a lot of great presenters that haven't had that and have only ever been presenters. There's a lot of great presenters that have come my way as well. But what it gave me personally was an understanding of how the cameras work. When you sit down and go for an interview, you can give a little creative suggestions as to how you set the cameras up, or lighting, or knowing that the volume to speak at, and little things like that. So learning a lot. I was exactly the same as you. I took on everything because I thought, even if I don't end up becoming a director, which I didn't,
exactly.
It made me understand when I'm presenting a show what the director's going through and how to communicate with each other.
And if somebody tries to tell you otherwise, that you know for a fact isn't true, they can't mug you off because you already have knowledge in that, like a little bit of knowledge in that area.
Yeah. So have the drive to succeed, have the work ethic that you've got, build the genuine friendships that you've got is a huge thing as well. This industry is so small. For want of a better word, don't be a dickhead, because people. But we're going to try not to swear on this, but there we go. But this industry is so small, and good people will succeed if you've got a good work ethic, good energy, and you're a good person. And you want to learn, you'll succeed in the industry, and that's what Con's done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Con, thank you very much for coming on the pod. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.